Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm good. It seems like when was the last time we talked? It's been
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks. Yeah, good to see you though. You are
You as well.
refreshing. You're a breath of fresh air. Whenever I see you, I love our. Don't worry, I can't smell it. I can't smell it from over here. Good to see you. All right.
You too, man. You
Um,
too.
I have an inkling of what we're talking about, but I'm gonna just turn it over to you, Ben, Constitution vet. What are we talking about today?
Gotcha. So we are talking today about the fallacies of woke culture. We've heard this word before 1,000 times all over the place. What does it actually mean? Being woke isn't just on one thing. Being woke on many things. That's where we are right now as a society, not just in our country, but all over the world. But what does it actually mean? Well, some people look at being woke as being awoken, being enlightened to the truth, being, being exposed to the dark realities of our current society, all that.
Eyes finally opening.
Eyes finally wide open. I gotta tell the world about these problems. Okay. I'll play devil's advocate. Okay. So what are you going to do to fix these problems? Nothing. I'm just going to complain about it. I'm going to protest. I'm going to put paint on priceless paintings. I'm going to just, sit in front of the street and then get mad when cars try to hit me. I'm going to protest at these different rallies. Okay. But what are you actually going to do to address some of these problems? Well, nothing. I'm just going to scream about it. That's what woke culture looks like. Now, wise culture, a culture that also is enlightened, that also is woken up, but the wise culture are the people that see actual problems, not, fantastical problems. They see reality and they actually address them. They actually do things on a day-to-day basis, big or small. They actually do real things to tackle these issues. They don't complain. They don't go crazy. They see the problem and they take care of it. And so basically, woke versus wise. Woke being the victim mentality, wise being the victor mentality. That's the difference. That's how I see it. How do you see it?
Well, yes, I agree. And so it's I was woke once. I was woke. I would say I was woke when I was 13.
Hmm.
I was a little ahead of my time. uh, I had been raised in church by my mom, and then moved in with my dad. My dad was a new ager,
Hmm.
into philosophy, and so I sat at the feet of my philosopher father and listened and absorbed a bunch of the, you know, leftism. And I shouldn't call it leftism because it was more classical liberalism, but
Hmm.
it was kind of counterculture, and so I consumed some of his resources. It was like the world's coming to an end because humans are evil, right? It's like we are destroying the planet, and wake up before it's too late, and nukes are bad, and free love, and all these different narratives, the different subjects, and they change because back then it was like, I think I was right at the tail end of global cooling, right? It's
Hmm.
like the planet's freezing. What are we going to do about it?
Hmm. Right.
Right, because
Right.
that was one of the narratives that went around. It's like, and then it switched to the other. It's like, oh, the planet's heating up. What are we going to do about it? And it was not action. Well, they believe that complaining was action, right? And I think that's characteristic. Uh, Jack, we must speak out and stand for the truth, not argue about planting seeds. Yeah, and that's kind of the complaining and complaining and complaining.
Hmm.
Uh, yes, we need to alert people of problems, but anymore, or what's characteristic of current wokeism
Mhm.
is victimization. Like uh, we are victims, uh, and we're being oppressed by what? Who's the enemy? Some global elite?
Right. Some unforeseeable enemy that you can't
The
touch or
Illuminati, the
walk through.
Illuminati,
Yeah.
right? So, um, there's a guy, and maybe maybe the reason we're doing this topic is because this guy, the guy from trigonometry. Do you know? Have you heard of trigonometry? It's a
I think
YouTube
so.
channel, and okay, so you maybe haven't heard this. Well, this is good timing. Sebastian, I think is his name, was at Oxford, I think. There's a video that just like Tucker Carlson had him on as a guest this on a couple nights ago, and
Yeah.
it's a YouTube channel that I've watched a couple times, and these are good guys, and one of them's British and the other one's Russian, I think, and the guy Sebastian was delivering a message to a bunch of college age. I think half the audience was woke and half the audience was on his side or whatever. And it was like he was riffing off the cuff, and it was so articulate. And essentially what he was saying is, let's just concede the point that maybe the planet, is in trouble. What are
Yep.
we going to do about it?
Yep.
He said, and he
I
said this. He
think the guy's
said,
Russian, I think.
if yeah, he is Russian. He said
Yeah.
he's from Russia.
Right.
He has British accent, but he's from Russia. And so he said if Britain fell off, sank into the sea, carbon emissions, it would make no difference because we've already passed laws, and we're already, like, for example, I live in Los Angeles, and there was a time, and
Mhm.
before I lived here, that you couldn't see the sky because it was so polluted. And
Mhm.
then, we started being more responsible, and now it's, beautiful. We haven't had smog alerts in LA in 20 something years. Like, oh, we've done the work. It's Asia and India, right? It's
Bingo.
those cultures that are not woke because they're poor, and you cannot convince poor people to stay poor.
Right. Right.
You can't. And that's the ultimate obstacle that wokeness runs into. The majority of the planet knows you're full of it, and you're a bunch of elitist, privileged, white people, right? I'm gonna turn it back over to here in a second.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just heard this some I think some Antifa, like 7 Antifa rioters or whatever, were arrested, and they were like all college, pampered, elitist college students and lawyers, and right there are all these people with absolute privilege that are out there complaining about some problem, and doing damage, and rather than being constructive. The final point is that the Sebastian guy was making is complaining is not going to get anything done.
Mm.
And you're not going to convince, 5 billion, however many in those impoverished nations, you're not going to convince them to stay poor. They're going to want
Right.
to burn coal or natural gas or whatever just to survive and to rise in status. That's just the way we are. We want to grow, we want to better ourselves, and there's nothing immoral about wanting to better yourself. And what is it that's going to make the difference? If we are damaging the environment, it's innovation, it's creating, it's putting your nose to the grindstone and doing the good work,
Mm.
and coming up with things that there are a lot of things that benefit our environment that were total accidents. They were researching something else,
Mm.
and they discovered something because they were encouraged to pursue innovation and creativity and free market enterprise. And they invented something that ended up benefiting everyone. Right.
There are multiple points there. And
Yeah, I'm sorry I do that.
but no, each one needs to be addressed. So it's very easy to protest when you don't have a job. It's very easy to go do these things if you don't have a full-time employment. That's why if you want to go speak at a college campus, and if you think you might be controversial, have it at 8 a.m. No one's going to protest that because no one wants to wake up at 8 a.m. That's what you do.
That's a good point.
Right? Number 2, when it comes to location, it's very easy for any American to protest something. And you know what? That's fine. That's your American right to protest. That is your right. It's not okay to riot, but it is okay to peaceably assemble and protest your views. Okay. But it's very easy to do that in America. If you think these problems are so bad, go to where they actually are bad. If you really think that women do not have rights here, okay, go to Afghanistan and fight for those women. Go to Central Africa and fight for those women. If you think that gun violence is bad here, go down to Mexico. Go down there. Go spend some time with the cartels. Go spend time in the warlords' encampment in Africa, in Central Africa, and come back and talk to me. If you think climate change is so horrible, or if you think this is the biggest issue in the whole world, then go to China. Go to India and see what they think about that. What are they more focused on? Surviving or, climate change? Now, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm not saying the world isn't changing. Of course, the world's changing. But at the same time, when I see people like Elon Musk, a flawed individual who's actually made tangible progress in that realm, it's like, ironically, he didn't go to the World Economic Forum. He's not wasting his time talking about how horrible the world is. Instead, he's doing something about it. And ironically, he's controlling the virtual town square, calling out the frauds for who they are. And so the point is, what do you want to be? A victim or a victor? I teach my students this all the time whenever I cover Native American history. Of all people to get to deserve a right to say, hey, our ancestors suffered, we need things fixed, it's them. But of course, where are the Native American Lives Matter rallies? They're busy trying to improve their lives on a tribal, local level. And so I teach my students, we cannot view Native Americans as just victims. They are victors. Look at what they've accomplished. Look at how each tribe had agency and power and dominance in their lives. Point is, we're all victims. Everyone has been a victim at some point in time, and everyone has been a conqueror at some point in time. And you only know that when you realize, hey, history is dark. History is brutal. History is bloody. The world today is dark, brutal, and bloody.
And who are you going to blame? Right? You're going to blame someone? It's like there is nothing, you're not going to get anything done. You're not going to be productive or fix anything by just assigning blame to some ambiguous, I don't know, right? Bad things happen. Get over it. Right? Welcome to reality. Bad things happen. Deal with it. Get over it. Move forward and be productive and do something good. Right? Do something good rather than complain.
You want to do something good? You want to make an actual impact on this whole climate thing? You want to do an actual good thing? Go to the Central Congo and expose the child labor down there. All the cobalt mining, the lithium mines, all those things. Go down there. But no. That's too risky. That goes outside my little bubble. That goes outside my academic comfort zone.
Hey, Greenpeace comes to my door every now and then. It's like seems like every 6 months when I'm home. I don't know when but I've answered and I remember going out one day. I don't know, it was Greenpeace or the Sierra Club or one of those, these young people thinking they're doing something. Can you sign this? We're trying to reduce emissions even further in blah blah blah. And it's like, wow, yeah. So what are you guys doing about, China? And right, because that's where we've pretty much taken care of it here, right? As I was just saying, if the air is nice and clear here in LA now, what about over there? And the thing is, they don't think it all the way through. They're part of a group. And it's a religion, right? They belong to a group. They have their liturgy, their mantras, right? It is a absolute belief system. It's Gaia, the goddess of earth or whatever. They may not worship by name, but they are nonetheless worshiping. And the problem is, what is the evil in that narrative? In that religion, human existence is the evil, right? It is human existence that is the evil. They don't realize they have been duped by Satan to to argue against themselves, because if they really believed all this nonsense, they wouldn't drive, they wouldn't have a cell phone, right? They wouldn't,
Private jet.
right? They wouldn't do any. They would abandon all technology, because technology
Right.
is evil, because corporations built technology, and corporations don't care about the earth. They rape the earth, and so you are feeding into it, right? It's like it's this. Literally what scripture says, calling evil good and good evil. But as I was thinking about something I wanted to share with you, or ask you or talk about today with you, is we reached the 8 billion mark. Like there are now 8 billion humans, and it was recent. It was within the last couple months. I think it might have been in like November of 2022 that humankind reached. I mean, it's always growing, right? Our numbers are always increasing, and we reached the 8 billion mark. And in thinking about wokeness, it's like, to wokeness, that's bad news, right? It's like, there's too many people, and we're using up all the resources, and et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, wait a minute, I wanted to celebrate, right? And you know who was celebrating? You know who was celebrating when we reached 8 billion people? God. Right? God created a man and a woman and said, be fruitful and multiply. And boom, we reached 8 billion. God's like, good job, you guys. You're doing good. You're doing good.
That a boy,
Reached
Tony.
8 billion. Yeah, right? It's like, be fruitful and multiply. And here's the thing. Because I said, like, I was woke and I was on that side, I'm like, overpopulation is a problem. And then I realized that every human being could fit into the square mileage of Rhode Island. Like, every human being on the planet could physically fit into the square mileage of Rhode Island.
Huh.
I mean, you'd be shoulder to shoulder. You'd have like 1 yard each. And I did the math, right? Like, physically, like, you couldn't have a society where everybody's that packed in together, but spread them out to Texas. Everybody in Texas, everybody gets like an acre or something, right? So every human being on the planet could fit in so it's not like we're overpopulating the planet. It's just those population centers get crowded, and you put everybody in cities, and you build upward or whatever. But with the advancements of technology, and this is the point I wanted to get to, is with advancing technology, you can spread out again, right? Now I can work from anywhere where I can get a signal, right? My job is, I could literally, if all I need is bandwidth, and I could work from anywhere on the planet and do my job. And there's a lot of jobs like that. And so one of the exciting, good news things that should be headlines, it should have been front page news. Human race reaches 8 billion people. Keep going, guys. You're doing great. That should have been the headline, but it came and went, and nobody even uttered a bleep about it, right? We reached 8 billion. Man, it took us quite a while to get here. But and this is something that's borne out in the research, Jordan Peterson and all, and even before I even heard of Jordan Peterson, I understood this one principle: is with advancement in technology, reproductive rates reduce, right? Your reproduction, the poorer nations have more children, right? They reproduce faster. With more advanced societies and advanced technologies, people get occupied with other things and have fewer children. And so the notion that I used to believe that this expansion is going to accelerate, this human population bomb, it's just going to accelerate, it's going to overcome the entire planet and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, as we reach civilizing the entire planet, the population levels off to a replacement rate, right? There's an optimum. I shouldn't say optimum, but there is a leveling off at Jordan Peterson estimates anywhere between 9 and 11 billion. Well, that's right around the corner. And the point is, another thing that happens when technological advancement proceeds is not just leveling off of population, but it's the greening of the planet, because technology inevitably leads to more efficiency, right?
Right.
Technological advancement leads to efficiency. That's what nuclear power is, right? Nuclear power is a a, a green energy, right?
Mhm.
It does not produce carbon emissions at all, and that's because of advancements in technology. And so a nuclear reactor can power, so the planet gets greener and cleaner
Mhm.
the more human beings are allowed to be innovative and invent and create.
Right. Well, on that note, innovations, creations, actually moving forward. Now the the debate is, well, who controls that progress? Right now, you have some of the richest people in the world meeting in Switzerland, talking about moving forward, but they're doing that in a very, well,
Master the future.
yeah. If you pay attention to what they're actually saying, it's, well, kind of terrifying. It should terrify you. Klaus Schmidt is legit saying that there should be a one world government. There should be everyone connected, one ruling authority controlling everything, moving forward in progress. So wait a second. I'm on the side of moving forward, but letting individuals create, letting individuals move forward, letting nation states be their own thing, moving forward, moving away from this single globalist world government, moving forward. Well, no, what that's called is oppression. What that's called is tyranny. And so moving forward is great, but we got to be mindful on who's in charge of that progress. Is it the individual or is it the collective authority? Some people who
Right.
claim themselves to be woke want that collective authority. They want to be safe and secure. They want to have big daddy government controlling every one of their moves because they feel safe. Well, that's not what I want.
Klaus Schwab. Yeah,
Schwab, yeah.
uh,
That's
that's right. Smith is fine. Schmidt. Um, well, that's another thing that's dawned on me from way back when I was woke, way back as a 13-year-old. I was woke until I was 18, then became a Christian, and then I really woke up. Then I
right.
awoke.
They
I
became
went
wise. Yeah.
I went from woke to awoke, and the the bizarre thing is it was part and parcel of that worldview, that mindset. It was anti-establishment, right? It was the authoritarian, the government. These are the evil people, right?
Mm,
They're the ones oppressing. They're the ones doing all the evil. And now all the wokeness is you need to follow in lockstep with the authoritarian establishment, right? It's like,
right.
wait, your narrative has just turned on itself, and that's what it does, and that's a sign of something
Ironic.
that collapses, right? A kingdom divided against itself shall not stand, right?
Mhm.
And then the Kentucky state motto is "United we stand," right? You unite, and so um, I, Constitution vet. I love that that's your name because that is the answer. The Constitution of the United States, and I've said this over and over again, and I will continue to say it, is as close to a inspired document, is as close to scripture without being scripture, right? It is thinking about the founders of the United States of America. We've come so far from their intent. They were fleeing religious persecution so that they could worship freely, right? And that's what
Mhm.
you and I are here trying to do as well. We need to worship freely, and so the authoritarianism of what the founders were fleeing is now encroaching once again here. But George Washington, when he swore on, when he took that oath, it is reported that he also finished it off, or he read an official oath or whatever. I have to go back and research what it is, but he finished by saying, I swear, so help me God, which wasn't a part of the official thing that he was supposed to read. He says, I swear, so help me God, which everybody there present, the majority of them were actual believers. And this Constitution, this new thing that they were trying, I think George Washington and those founders were fully aware of God's providential guidance through this process of developing this thing, right? Developing this written document to try and govern this new land. And the proof is in the pudding, right? What America became from that point, it was God planted this fertile seed, and it just exploded, right? And in the opulence, as you were saying, if you don't have a job, you have plenty of time to complain, and it's kind of a byproduct of our wealth, of our prosperity. Is you get rich people that can sit around and not have a job and start turning on themselves and finding a cause to complain about. But I think the future is bright.
Well, of course it is. Of course it's bright because God's in charge. No matter what's going to happen, it's going to be bright because God's in charge. And at the end of the day, if anyone watching this is concerned about what can I do, how can I make a difference? Well, we've already talked about 1,000 times how one person can make a world difference. One person can change the world. You just have to be willing to accept reality, embrace that grind, because it's not going to be easy. Nothing says it's going to be easy to actually fix problems. It's much easier to just complain because that's free.
YouTube hasn't banned the phrase hard work yet, have they?
Well, I don't know.
Hard work.
The Soviets in charge of this platform, they may not like that word one day, but what do I know?
Well, that is it. Like when you raise a pampered. Did you see the movie? Oh shoot! It was a Pixar film with the robot.
Wall-E.
Wall-E.
Yeah.
So Wall-E is like Earth has been abandoned, and it's this robot who has this program that's just, I'm supposed to collect trash and collect the trash and crush it and build it into stacks, and that was just what I was programmed for. And and then when he gets connected with where the human race went, like the human race built this ship that's floating in space or whatever. You remember how the humans are depicted?
They're all fat and lazy, being carried by machines and being pampered by machines. Yeah.
Right. And it's a funny, creative way of looking at the future and taking in our tendencies. It's like, yeah, we do get fat and happy. When we get rich, we stop working hard. But that's counter to our design, right? We have been designed to work hard. We have these bodies, and athletes, why do they push themselves? Why do they work hard and strict diet? It's not fun. It is not fun to train to be a superior athlete. It's not fun at all. What is it? It's that drive. There's something. Go ahead. Something driving.
You mentioned the athlete. Here's another comparison. That single father of 3 who's working 3 jobs, just trying to put food on the table and pay the bills. That person, do you think they really care about the climate issue? No. They care about embracing that grind, working every single night, getting no sleep, because their main focus is their family. Their main focus is surviving and one day improving their life and their family's lives. Both examples know what hard work is.
And the book of Proverbs, that's pretty much, if you're a sloth, destruction. If you work hard, you'll be blessed. It's just a formula God designed into the fabric, right? And don't buck against it. Don't complain. Don't resist the way we've designed. Work hard and create something that you can be proud of. I used to be a bricklayer, and we'd show up on the job site and it was nothing, and you walk away from the job site. It's this gorgeous thing that you just created, and there's this satisfaction in that, and you get paid. Yeah. And I got paid to work out because it was hard work. Yeah. All right. Good to see you. I'll see you next week, man.
You too, sir. I'll see you next week, boss.
Bye, everybody.